Hi everyone, welcome once again to Sitecore User Group Delhi NCR. And today again I'm joined with the two of my friends, Raman Gupta and Vikas Kumar from Aspire Central Lab. Uh, as you would all remember, the last week we had the first episode of this series where we talked about how we extend Sitecore Marketing Automation Framework and how we can solve those use cases which are not available out of the box as a solution, right? But there are many hooks which can be made into the existing platform, and you guys can extend those capabilities to solve the customer use cases. So we'll continue our conversation. Last time we saw how Vikas and his team has extended the out of the box capabilities to send SMS or WhatsApp messages to the different touch points to the customers and consumers. Today we'll go deeper into the tech stack underlying, right, what and why the things were changed and how those things were changed, what was the complexity involved, what kind of a code that was added to the framework, and how they deployed it. What role did Azure Functions play? What role did Azure Queues play? So we'll dip bigger this very deep this time, and we'll see this all this in action. So I'll not take much of your time anymore, and I'll straight away hand it over to Vikas and Raman. And very quickly, before I hand it over, I'll quickly reintroduce them. You know, Vikas is a renowned community member in Sitecore, and he's a director at for digital and content management capabilities practices at Aspire Central Lab, and Raman is technical lead for Sitecore projects, and he is also a Azure certified specialist, right? So, having said that, I'll just hand it over to both of them, and they'll take it forward, and we'll see all the exciting tech which they have developed. All right,
Right. Yeah.
over to you, Vikas.
Yeah. Thank you, Gaurav. I hope I'm audible. Okay. I think introduction was enough for the last section. So let's directly move on to the content this time. Okay. So we'll definitely recap on our session one, but let's see like what we will look into detail into this session. This session will be a bit more technical. And we'll go on to the backend side of the code side, how we have implemented this extension. Right. So here you can see we'll talk more about the Azure queues and functions, and we'll discuss why we choose the Azure queues and functions to extend the Sitecore marketing capabilities. We look more into Sitecore, the automation custom rules, and based on some custom facets. And we'll also look the marketing automation custom actions. So everything about how you can create a new custom actions for yourself. And we'll see the demonstration today. The last time we see the demonstration with the action. This time we'll see the demonstration with action as well as the custom rules that along with the custom facets that we have created for you. Right. So just a recap of the last session. Last session we said we discussed about Sitecore marketing automation. We can create multiple campaigns over there to that can be triggered on list, events, goals, and can perform actions like the send emails, right? And then we discuss what our extension has done, what we have done custom. We have added more custom segmentation rules for lists. We have added the custom marketing rules. We added the custom functions, right? So this is all the custom work that we have done. And after that we integrate this with the Azure so that we can leverage the same function for multiple use cases like SMSs or WhatsApp messages, or saving this data into some third-party database, connecting it to ERP, SAP, CRM, right? So there may be multiple use cases once you once you connect your marketing automation with the Azure queues and functions, right? So we'll took next, I think, a few minutes again on to the Azure queues and function and why we kind of choose those. Okay. So first is like, yes, why we use these Azure function and queues. As you the Azure queues, they actually decouple all the components of your application. One is responsible for adding something into the queue. Okay, something has to be sent to in context of Vikas, right? So marketing automation runs in context of each individual contact. So something has to be done for Vikas, but what has to be done for Vikas? So you can decouple those things together. If the first is if the second, let's say, is not working, maybe you can hook another function with the same queue and you can reutilize it. The Azure queues are built in resilience. What it means is easy to detect issues or fix issues, or it doesn't disturb like the whole or the workflow. It only stops and it can be reinitiated at any point of time again, right? And in terms of scales for bus, you can send the one message, two messages, or millions of messages. So it's highly scalable product. You don't have to worry about anything, because sometimes we see if we work, we could have used actually the our kind of the Sitecore VM queues and all those things onto the server, but sometimes we already see, okay, Sitecore website is not performing, is slow, or those sort of things. So we do not want to give some more extra work to the Sitecore servers. So let them do what they are doing. That's maybe to little bit decouple some of the logic outside of the Sitecore. That doesn't require actually the Sitecore at all. Again, towards the Azure function sites, there's no infrastructure management required, right? So you don't have to procure any web app or the web server for it. It's again very scalable, right? Fast time to market. You can just write a piece of code, or there are already some functions that already been provided that you can easily hook into it, and they efficiently use of your resources. The Azure only charges for the time you consume the resources. It might be in half an hour, 1 hour, or maybe in 5 minutes only. Let's see if it in more integral, like the in decoupling, what's all the benefit, and that's the decoupling provides, right? So it's again flexible. You can create multiple separate functions for separate logics, right? So it's provide durability, it's provide scalability, right? So it's asynchronous, right? So again, one problem that we discussed the last time is that's also one of the core reason that why we utilize these functions for asynchronous. We don't want to stop our sending SMS function, right? Okay, let's send first SMS and then start the another SMS. No, that's a separate function. Marketing automation can send like a 500 queue in 1 minute or something like that, queue messages, and the separate function can start sending the SMS without hampering again the Sitecore resources much. Again, queue built-in resilience that we talked about makes application scalable, less sensitive to individual component, right? So if the architecture goes down, the queues will bump up. You don't have to worry, and you can reinitiate the new process automatically. Again, I think scaling we discussed. Same thing about the again the function. So functions are available as a fully managed services that right. So again, it's a faster time to market with serverless applications. You don't have to build any infrastructure for that. Just the deployment is required, and we'll talk about the deployment as well. And it's a serverless computing. It only charge for the seconds that it works, right? And you can schedule it work only between 12 to 12:10, right? So it only charge for the 10 minutes of your Azure time, and again this more efficient use of your resources. So overall total cost of ownership of your the whole the ecosystem drastically reduced if you utilize, and the performance, lot of performance increase. So that was the reason why we actually use these Azure functions. Let's see how to implement these Azure functions as well. So Azure functions requires some input, right? So here in our case, the input is the Azure Queue messages that we are sending it through the marketing automation, right? And then it requires some trigger. Trigger can be okay as soon as a new message comes into the Azure Queue, or trigger can be a timer at 10 o'clock, right? Or any other activity. So it requires some trigger to execute the functions. And again, it requires the function itself. That's the piece of code that needs to be executed, that I will be talking a bit about it. And then it provide you the output right here. So in this function, the output is the TLU SMS that we are returning from this function, right? And the input is here is the queue. As you can see here, the test queue that we are inputting here. And we are saying, okay, as soon as the message comes into the queue, execute this piece of code and return this message. So this function will actually send the message. We are using numbers and all those things from our queue, and we are just sending the messages. So see, now you can see the power. Like, you can create multiple functions by writing this small piece of code. It can be a simple like a ADO.NET kind of a code which saves some data into some custom database, or it might be API code to some your third-party applications, right? So, or it might be a WhatsApp API, right? Or it might be something else, right? So it can be anything that can be utilized. So now you have the full wow. So something bit more about the kind of the Azure functions. See, as we have seen, the Azure function contains the code plus some events, the timers or the queue events, and some data. Based on it kinds of become the Azure functions. So Azure function can be written in multiple languages. You can use .NET Core or some earlier the .NET frameworks. You can use Python. You can use PHP. You can use Java, right? So if one of a team member knows only Sitecore Marketing Automation, or some other person is available in your team that requires Java, you can write a piece of code in Java, right, separately. It doesn't has to be like in .NET, right? So you can run code from a package. You can just deploy it as a DLL onto the function. As you can see here, right, this is function that I will showcase like into our Azure account, like how we are integrating this DLL over there. You can use like we use Visual Studio CLI or as a Visual Studio Code for develop your functions, and directly you can publish the function to the Azure. And it's a consumption based SLA that the Microsoft provides for you. Okay, so we'll little bit talk about the custom facets, right? So that we will be utilizing for our custom conditions. So you might have all worked a little bit about the custom facets, where we provide some more information about our contacts in our Sitecore experience database, right? So we store the contact information and the interaction about the contact into it. And in custom facets, we can add some custom contact facets as well. Probably will not get much into detail. Last year we did on SUG and CRA session about the custom facets, right? So driving personalization using the custom facets. So for more detail, you can maybe get into this. But for us, we'll be enhancing the Sitecore experience database with some more custom information that we are adding. Right. So Sitecore custom marketing rules. So like it provides a lot of rules to you automatically based on your goals, events, action on your website. But let's say you want to have a goals like some information about your customer, whether about his privilege information, whether it's a silver customer or a gold information. So that we have already added, let's say, a custom facets that provide us detail about the about us, whether the customer is our gold or the silver customer. So how again the marketing rules or the actions execute? As we have seen, we have a separate service to execute the marketing automation. So it runs outside of your Sitecore kernels. It requires iCondition interface, right? Your condition. It requires a item creation for your rules. You might have created normal personalization rules. So similar to that, you have to create a item for that. You can deploy a condition. You have to deploy that condition to the engine, because that will execute your condition as well. So this condition will be used for entry trigger or in custom listeners and decision points that we discussed in the last session as well. And we will demonstrate today as well about entry triggers and custom listeners that we will utilize one of the custom condition in our demonstration as well. Maybe it's more over to Raman to explain you bit more about in detail of how he has implemented actually this condition. Yes, Raman.
Okay. Thanks, Vikas. Thanks for explaining about Azure Queues and Azure Functions. And to start with the custom facets. So in the upcoming slides, I'll take you through the custom rules and custom action in Marketing Automation Engine. But before this, let's first understand the need to customize the Marketing Automation Engine. So for that, we have actually worked on a real-time scenario, which is to send the communication to the customer whose status is gold. So let's say you have a database of the customer which are having some customer status like gold, silver, platinum, and you want to target specifically those customer whose status is gold, and you want to send out to communication. In our case, we are sending the SMS through Twilio, as Vikas has discussed. So this is our real-time scenario. Now, if you will see in this scenario, we are using custom facets, that is customer status, which will hold some value, and then we are filtering out the customer based on their status. So this is now we are utilizing the custom rules, and then we are sending SMS. So that is the custom action. So in this one scenario, we have to utilize three things: custom facets, custom rules, and custom actions. So as Vikas has already covered custom facets, how to create them, and what is the need to create custom facet, I'll quickly take you through the custom rules and how to create them. So custom rules can be used as entry point for marketing automation campaign, or these can be used as a custom listener or decision point condition. So let's say we want to enroll some customer whose customer status is gold into marketing automation engine. So in that case, we can use custom rule as a entry point. But let's say we want to enroll all the customer, but specifically send the communication only to those customer whose status is gold. So in that case, we can utilize decision point or custom listener. Now, to create them, we have three things to do. One is backend .NET code, second, Sitecore UI editing, and third is deployment of DLLs. Now, for .NET code, as you can see on the screen, simply we have implemented the iCondition class, extend the evaluate method, and manipulate the custom facet value here, and return we are returning the true false as per the condition. So as you can see, we are manipulating the customer status custom facets. We are comparing it with our database value. If that matches with our Sitecore rule editor value, it will return true, and it will go to the yes path into our marketing automation engine. If it returns false, it will go to the no path in our MA engine. Now, after that, for the UI editor, we need to create a rule item. As you can see in the left side, we have created a rule item where we have defined the text that we want to see as a rule language in our rule engine. And then we have to give the DLL path as a type. So here in the type, we have defined the DLL path. Now, to register this rule in Xconnect predicate descriptor XML, we need to create the XML, register this DLL in that XML, and deploy the DLL to the MA root. So that you can see on the next slide. Yes, so this is our XML where we have registered our DLL, and we have given the item ID of our rule. So that's how we can create our rule. And after all this, you can see this rule in our rule editor window, and you can use this rule uh, anywhere, like in marketing automation engine or in list segment rule. So here I have only covered the marketing automation engine rule because I have implemented the evaluate method, but we can use this rule for sure in our list segment rule as well, but that's a separate topic. We are not going to cover this here. So now let's quickly jump to the custom actions now. Okay. Yep. So, as we have covered in the last session, that we have lots of out of the box custom actions available in marketing automation engine, which we can utilize. But in some cases, in real scenarios, we usually need some custom action. So, like in our case, we need to send SMS, which is not available out of the box. So for that, we need to create custom action that will integrate marketing automation engine with some third party services. So in our case, we are integrating our Azure function, Azure our marketing automation with Azure Queues, and we will save the message there. So yes, these are the all default elements which we have already talked about in the last sessions. All the custom listeners and activity types. Okay, so this is now the steps that we are going to perform to create a custom action. So again, we need to follow three steps as we have done for the custom rule: .NET backend code, front end code, and deployment of TLL. Okay, so to create for .NET code, we just simply need to again implement the iActivity class. Yep. Okay, so yes, we need to implement the iActivity class and define the parameter that will accept input from our marketing automation. Now we use this to invoke the method and call our Azure service to perform the queue operation. So here you can see that we have implemented we have created our class which is implementing iActivity, and we are accepting parameters in form of messages, and then we are using a DI. We are calling our Azure services, which will in turn perform our queue operations. So here we are just returning the output as like success move, which means after coming on to this point, it will move to next activity. But we have couple of other output as well, which are like success move, success stay, success exit plan, etc. So we can use those, but in our case we are using success move, which means it will take us to the next activity. Now for yes, because can you please move to the next slide? Yes, so here we have invoked our Azure services, where you can see that we have configured our Azure service, and we are doing the queue operation over there. So now, second step is to define and to create the UI part of our custom action. Now, for that front end, first we need to create a Sitecore activity item that is having parameter and path as a child item. And in this activity item, you can define the DLL path in the implementation type. So yes, you can see we have created parameters and path, and in the implementation type, we have given our custom action DLL path. Okay, now for the next step, we should have some knowledge about TypeScript and Angular, because for this next step, we will need to create a JavaScript plugin, and to do that, we will use npm and TypeScript code. So as you can see on my script screen in the right side, the structure is having activity TypeScript file, which is responsible for the UI part of the custom action and describes the appearance. So in this TypeScript, we will define like how our action should look like, what's the icon for our action. So we can do all this stuff here in this TS file. Then the editor component TS, it is used to accept all the input parameters, and the module TS, if you can see, it is to wrap up all the code, and it will generate the plugin for us. Now, after creating this structure and defining all this parameter, we will run the npm install and use the run npm run dev command, and it will generate the plugin for us, as you were able to see the on the last screen. And after getting this plugin, now it's time to deploy this plugin. Yes, this is the plugin. Now, after this, we will deploy this plugin to our Sitecore CM role along with the custom action DLL that we have generated. So yes, this is a plugin plugin descriptor config that we also need to deploy at our Sitecore CM role. Also, we need to deploy this custom action DLL to our marketing automation role and create two XML services, XML for service and activity registration. So steps are similar for marketing automation, custom action and custom rule, but just one thing addition over here is that we need to create a plugin using Angular and our TypeScript code. So now we are done with the code part. We have created custom facet, that is to store the customer status value. We have created custom rule that will filter out customers which are having any particular or specific status. Then we have created a custom action that will send SMS to those filter out customer. Now let's see everything in action now. I will hand it over to Vikas for this.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks, Raman. So as you have seen, there's a quite few steps that required and quite few types of steps as well. It's not like there's a one type of steps. Do something in Angular, do something in Sitecore configuration, some code part. So actually, we also realized again, I want to little bit discuss about why we end up in Azure Queue and Azure Functions again one moment. And so see, so there are multiple steps that required for sending SMS, and then the requirement comes to do something else as well. So how many times you would like to perform that particular steps? So that's why we thought, yes, like to build a generic action, right? And that extend this action based on some Azure functionality. So that's the whole reasons of extending the marketing automation with this functions. We would like to give the full flexibility for the future as well to extend it as much as possible, so that I don't want to repeat all these black screens multiple times for our customers, right? So that's the reason. So that's why we thought to avoid all those things. So now we don't have to actually to create all these steps again. We can simply create the Azure function, and we can perform multiple actions on top of that. Okay, so on towards the demo. As you can see here, we'll have some start logic. Some customer comes again in our marketing automation, that we are checking one custom rules here where the customer status is gold. So if the customer status is gold, send this message. If the customer status is silver, send this message, or not gold, then send this message. So message I have like a little bit different. So let me quickly go to my marketing automation and see. Right. Okay. Hope you can see my marketing automation here. So this is my condition where the customer status is gold. Right. And similarly, the message for gold members, I do have the message as this is the gold member message. Rest everything is same. And if they are not the gold message, there's the silver message. So Raman, I will just quickly activate this marketing automation. Just add a couple of the contacts into this marketing automation. Maybe one gold, one silver.
Sure, I'll do that.
Yeah, thank you. So let me just quickly activate it. You cannot activate. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Now my marketing automation is active. So in the meantime, Raman looks at a couple of reactions. So let's see some of the Azure function part. This function that we showcased into the code you as well that we have created. We have uploaded our DLL to the Azure function, deployed our DLL to the Azure function. So this is just the script for where we have mentioned, okay, this is our DLL, what's the entry point, and what are the bindings required for this function. You can simply write whole code here as well, but it's always good to have kind of your to do it via DLL. So as a best practice, to utilize where you have mentioned, okay, we are utilizing the Microsoft.NET framework. You can mention anything, and you can generate it while from your Visual Studio, and you can just copy and paste here and deploy the DLL over here. So it would be simpler. And the next time, I just have to push my DLL. I don't have to change all those things. And from the monitoring part, I can see how many times the function has been executed in past 1 hour, and all those monitoring as well. You can see all these things in application interface as well. Let me quickly see my queue, because
Yes.
Raman
Yes, 2 customers have been imported. If you can see on the marketing automation screen. Yep.
Yeah, first customer executed, gold customer, I think is already available now to me here. The message that we could see for the hood. But if I refresh it a couple of times, you would see this message will automatically be removed from here, because it's removed, because this my function is actually utilizing this message is a queue. Once you dequeue, the message will be removed from here, and action will be performed by this function. So that's why the gold message has been removed. I'm not sure silver is already. Let's see how many message has been successfully executed from our function.
Silver is still in the queue, Vikas. So it is still executing from marketing automation side. If you can see, it is 1 contact already here.
Right. So 1 contact is already here. So that has not been to queue yet. So that will come onto the queue first, and that it will be executed. So that's the reason. And this function will send actually 2 separate messages to my 2 types of customers that I have. Right. So everything is like custom here. The custom facet we have utilized the custom rules, and we have utilized the custom actions, and we have utilized the action twice. Right. So all these things has been kind of demonstrated for you. It has not. Yeah. So I can see now here my silver customer is also added over here. You can see this message is different, and that message is different based on my right. And for testing purpose, maybe you can just write an add message over here as well, right? So if you're just testing, you can write a message over here, and you can test your function as well. So now it's gone because it's already dequeue message. So your queue can be controlled from here as well, right? And it's a queue, so it's always first in, first out, right? So so that's how it will work. So now it will get refreshed here as well, right? So we can monitor all these things. Okay, so that was like a quick demonstration, and that function has sent an SMS to one of our good friend. He is actually configured his mobile number, so I'm not able to showcase you like this message, but yes, he received 2 SMSs, 1 for gold and 1 for max. It's a simple account, so it just sends a message to the same number. So I think that was it for today. Any question and answer Gaurav, you from your side or from anybody else?
Yeah, thank you, Vikas. Thank you for this uh, detailed walkthrough today. All right, I have a couple of questions, right? So you showcased the how you have leveraged the serverless capabilities of Azure, right, to gain the extreme flexibility and scalability and high availability and resilience, right? So
Yeah,
have you tested? Last time you mentioned that there is a customer for which you have taken this live, and there is few features which you are going to add to it, right? And I remember like when we were talking last time, and you mentioned that the volume of contacts, the volume of customer data which your customer
yeah,
has is quite large. So do you want to talk about that? What volume you have seen this to be working on, and what was the outcome, and uh, how was the
yeah.
overall experience in terms of performance?
Yes, so definitely. So I think volume wise, we have, in custom facets, we have added around a millions of customers there in one of the Sitecore experience database, about a million. So because when we started first time, it took kind of a day or two to get all the customers into it, and we are running like this is a very small kind of the marketing automation campaign that I have showcased, but we are actually testing this overall this for more than 30 plus campaigns running simultaneously. So that's our goal is, and as our customer is on Sitecore Pass side, so we do have to little bit tweak some of the settings for auto scaling and already scaled few things, especially the experience, the shard databases, and some of the marketing automation services. But capability wise, handling wise, and because of the Azure and all those things, for Azure, we don't have to worry about the little bit onto the Sitecore side. We do have to little bit tune our infrastructure, but it's capable of having like more than 30 plus campaigns running simultaneously where we have tested with millions of customers. So even the condition executes from millions of customers, whether what type of customer they are, right? And or any other properties of the customer in terms of the actions. We have created 30 plus different types of not sorry the actions, the rules. We have created 30 plus different types of rules, not just on status of the customers, but on different value of the customer, what type of customer, based on some financial values or based on anything. So our experience so far is quite good, and still for us it's a beginning, and we definitely will come back to you if we see any more update on the scalability side. But so far, like it's good for a lot of campaigns and millions of customers.
Okay. And did you face any delay in terms of delivering the messages? For example, if it's a very real-time message, I know, like if it's a marketing offer, it might not be that real-time. If I get a coupon code after 10 minutes also, or information about a sale going on, or a new offer on the website, 10 minute delay is acceptable, right? But in the more real-time scenarios, for example, an OTP to log in or something, maybe like an OTP to retrieve my password, right? I can do such kind of things also using these kind of
Uh,
integrations, right?
I so far, Gaurav, I won't recommend it for that kind of things like login OTP, like this
Okay.
automation. So there,
Okay.
because there, this OTP is valid for 10 seconds, 15 seconds.
Hmm.
So I think still we have not tested for such real time. Yes, that has to be delivered in 1 second, 2 seconds. Mostly we
Okay.
have actually tested it for yes, let's work it overnight for thousands of or the hundred thousands of the customers, right? So
Okay.
like in bulk, yes. But as we have seen in demonstration as well, we were utilizing the free version of queues, free version of the Azure functions. We were not onto the plans, or that should be achievable, but I think you
Okay.
do have to test it with some premium version of your services from the Azure side. So but I think we should avoid using marketing automation for OTP or such activity.
Sure. Sure. Understood. Understood. Right. So the use
And
case is clear.
Gaurav,
Yeah, Raman, go ahead.
Gaurav, to add Vikas's point, so here because we are utilizing the third party services like Azure in our case, so we are not hampering Sitecore's performance, because Sitecore's marketing automation work is to send SMS to Azure Queue. Now Sitecore Marketing Automation is free. Now it's Azure work started. So we are not hampering Sitecore's performance by doing or sending bulk SMSs or sending bulk anything, bulk updates to customers. So it's now onto Azure and onto our Azure architecture. So if we have good architecture, yes, that can be achievable. If we can send SMS within seconds, but yes, that's on to Azure capabilities now.
Yeah, understood. And Raman, I remember you were also talking about when you were importing data into your XDB, right? So how you did the performance tuning on the Sitecore side to ensure I think you mentioned about 8 lakh users, which you tried to import in a couple of hours. Initially, it was taking a lot of time, but then you could import it in less than a day or so, right? So do you want to talk about that as well?
Yes. Yep. So this is quite interesting, Gaurav. So we have built our marketing automation campaign, and now the last part is to import all of our customer data, and it was all real-time users. So there were 8 lakhs customer, and all these customers are having some related facets, like if it was like insurance, though they were having some policies and codes related to those. So uh, there was around 30 lakhs of total records that we have to import, and we have a closed deadline to do this. So initially we were able to achieve, I think, 10,000 customer per hour, but it was like all we were learning from our experience. Then it was something from our Sitecore side that we have improved, like we have implemented batching while importing the data, but something to do with Azure infrastructure. We have like upgrade from standard 1 to standard 4, and we were able to like see the good database performance. So there were some couple of things that we tried, and we were able to achieve, I think, 1 million customer in a day. So yep.
So that's interesting because if you are on Azure Cloud or any other
Yeah.
public cloud, the scalability of underlying infrastructure, which gives you that burst performance that I have to now do an import of a couple of million, I can go on a higher tier, do that import, and then scale back down to a lower tier, right? So yeah, so
Yeah, that's the beauty of
that's
full
really
patch
interesting.
or the serverless computing. Yes.
Okay, all right. So, for the audience, if anyone has any questions, feel free to post it on the chat window and we'll be happy to take those. I haven't received a question today, but yes, even if you are watching a recording and you have a question, feel free to put a question in the chat window or the comments, and we will ensure that we respond back to that. And if you like the content today, and if you would like to see more content or any particular content, feel free to drop a message in the chat window, and we'll try to plan for that. Thank you, Raman. Thank you, Vikas, once again for sparing your time and spending almost 2 weeks with us preparing for this and then delivering this session. Thanks a lot, and uh, hope that we get to see more innovations coming from Aspires and how you extend this platform. And all the best for putting this component on Sitecore Marketplace. And I am sure that a lot of people would get benefit out of it and will have a great adoption in the community. And whenever you have another interesting case study to share where you have used this extensions and you would want to share that with the community, what are the outcomes and the results you have seen, we'll be more than happy to host you again and do another session here. Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah. Thank you, Gaurav. Our pleasure, and definitely we'll come back with some more maybe the similar types of the topics. Okay. Thank
Yeah,
you.
yeah. I remember you have promised me one more session on CRM integration with the Microsoft Dynamics. So I'll keep
Yeah.
bugging you for that also, and we will very soon plan for that as well. Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you everyone who have joined us today. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Cheers.
you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.